Welcome to the family with
Alex Barnard Rasmussen,
Joe Teirab,
Doug Sprinthal,
and Andy Barnard.
Well, she's not going to introduce herself.
No.
Nope.
She said, "Please no."
She's a neutral observer. She's from the UN.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Oh,
Going to hand out
making
food
sure.
in case things get ugly.
there you go.
If she starts hiding, it's going to be a problem. I'm just telling you. So, Joe, how do you pronounce the last name?
Teirab.
It's Teirab, because I knew it was
Got
either Teirab or Teirab.
There we go.
It was one of the two, no question about it. So you're not going to even talk during the whole thing either?
She doesn't need to talk.
Dad, leave her alone. My God.
Nope, I'm
Poor
attacking.
woman.
That's all there is to it. No question
Poor
about it.
woman.
No, this is great. At a young age, Joe learned the American dream is not just a slogan, but a promise, which is a good start right there.
Appreciate that.
As the son of an immigrant from Sudan who moved to America to pursue a brighter future and the grandson of a World War II POW. Jesus, man. Joe knows the importance of keeping the American dream alive and the value of service to our nation. I love the opening.
I appreciate that, Tom.
I will tell you, honest to God.
It's true. So it is the American
even
dream.
better.
That's even better.
That's even better.
It helps.
Joe, I try to talk to people about this all the time. I grew up very, very poor in North Minneapolis. My father was institutionalized. My mother was always working. And I grew up and had this wonderful success in America. Some people love it and other people just hate it. It's like, why? Do people get angry with you because your family did so well in America?
You know, I don't get a ton of that. I mean, I think my dad grew up in this village in the middle of nowhere in Sudan. I mean, picture a National Geographic village with animals running around in huts made of dung and thatch, and it was a whole 9 yards. And so
Wait a minute,
for him to,
huts made of dung.
you know, just like an African village, think of that in a National
phenomenal.
Geographic.
No, that's what they did. Yeah. It's like,
I know.
And he came to America. He worked hard and got here, met my mom, who my mom went to West High School, grew up in Bryn Mawr, Minneapolis.
Okay.
And so, yeah, here I am and getting to live the American dream. And now I'm running for Congress. So really excited about it.
See, the Bryn Mawr was like the high tone area.
I know where Bryn Mawr is. I lived in Kenwood in the 70s.
I saw the house my mom grew up in. It was, I don't know, pretty, I don't know, like 700 square feet,
Yeah.
like 3-bedroom,
Yeah, there you
piled,
go.
you know,
But
6 people in there.
It is a nice neighborhood. It is. Yeah.
It's definitely changed
Yeah.
from the 60s till now, for sure.
It has. And it was I tell you, people always go, what was that like, growing up, Plymouth Avenue, Broadway, and all this. It was wonderful. Had a wonderful time. It was, Jewish, Black, and Catholic neighborhood. That's what it was. And we loved it. I talked about trick-or-treating. Benjamin Cruchon, who was Black, Ronald Cloud, who was Native American, Chucky Gleason, who was, I didn't want to bring, an Irish guy, but I had to. But no, it was that kind of neighborhood. It was just a lot of fun, wonderful. Everybody kind of worked together. And I don't know, it was a great experience. It must have been a great experience for your father, because
Yeah, for sure for my father. And then I ended up growing up in a small town. So very much different. I mean, my brother and I, along with this kid who was adopted from Korea, we were the only, people of color in my hometown in Wyndham. So small town, 4,000 people. That's where I grew up. And so my dad worked at a beef processing plant and got to kind of do every high school sport growing up in a small town. It's not your Hopkins or your, Eden Prairie or, everyone got to play. And so I got to live that out in high school. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, did people treat you well? Were there what kind of experience was that?
I think it was tough in many ways. I mean, I think in high school, everyone kind of wants to fit in a way. And so just by the way you look, you don't exactly fit in. You might feel a certain way, but I think it definitely prepared me for, what was next for me going to college and law school. And so I think it was a great experience. I had great friends, and Wyndham just so many great people. It's only a small number, a couple of bad apples, right? But
that's true.
For the most part, it's just a great small community to grow up in.
No question.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Cornell for undergrad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then,
Well,
and then when you find out I went to Harvard for law school, I don't know how you're going to react to that.
My dad got his PhD there, and he taught there for 5 or 6 years. So I'm from New England originally.
Okay. No, I loved it up there. A lot of good food, good people. They love their sports. Unfortunately, they're too good at sports the last 20 years in the Boston area. But yeah.
Okay, so you went to Harvard. Your dad taught at Harvard, and my dad was in a mental institution. This worked out really well for me, I thought.
So Joe,
great.
Very similar.
So Joe, you want to serve because of your family's experience in America? Because it sounds like you came and it really worked out well for the family.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I mean, I think the American dream, it's a beautiful thing. My grandpa fought for it in World War II as a POW. My dad came here because of it. I just want to help Americans in the now and in the future have that. And I feel like it is slipping away. You know, my view of things is we don't want more government. We want more power with people and their paychecks. We don't want rights being taken away. I just fear that's happening more and more in Minnesota. And so my job is going to be to bring more power back to people. And that's why I'm running for Congress against Angie Craig, someone who, in my view, has just been a rubber stamp for an agenda that's gotten us off track.
And how is it going?
The campaign's going well. I mean, we are 7 days away from the election. Six days. 6 days. I'm sorry. I can't count.
Now, yeah.
They didn't teach me to count.
Harvard. It goes to Harvard. He can't count.
You can't count.
But other than that.
Well, lawyers actually are pretty bad at math.
They're good readers, though.
Halfway decent reading, but not great at math. Don't talk to my calculus teacher in high school. But no, it's going great. I mean, on the ground, we're seeing the momentum. I mean, you kind of see in national polls and even polls in Minnesota, there's a lot of momentum, and we're seeing it on the ground in Minnesota. You know we can change the state. We can change our country, kind of one member of Congress and one voter at a time. And that's what we're working hard to do.
And that district's always been kind of tight, right? I mean, she's won and lost races by pretty small margins, if I remember correctly.
Very, very small margins. Yeah. And in fact, the times that it's the smallest are the presidential years because it's just a different electorate. So in 2016, Jason Lewis won and President Trump won the district.
Right.
In 2020, President Trump
let's keep
lost
radio
the district.
People out of politics. Okay. I'm just here to say it's not a party thing. It's like, all right, Jason, just anyway.
All right.
Oh,
yeah.
poor Jason.
So it'll be close. It'll be close.
But it is looking good.
It's looking good. I mean, look, we're cautiously optimistic that we're always treating this as if we're down. And that's how everyone is running a campaign.
Good move.
And so that's when we want everyone to make sure they're going to come out to vote, and we'll have a great chance to win.
I think it's just the whole idea is fantastic. What I like is the fact that you've been here now for about 10 minutes. And you haven't called anyone a Nazi or Hitler yet. So that's wonderful. I love that.
I'm not a fan of calling Americans names.
I'm not either.
Deplorable, garbage. Exactly. I mean, I'm sure we're all tracking this, President Biden calling basically half the country garbage, which is itself garbage.
Yeah.
So.
That's the part of
Dana Carvey just got a raise because he did that. It'll wind up in the cold open on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt. Yeah.
That is the part of it that I don't, I have friends that are Democrats. I have friends that are Republicans, some pretty far left, some pretty far right. I love these people. They're wonderful. These politicians, I don't know if I can take much more of them. It just, you think you're making people feel good sitting at home watching television, and you talk about people like they're Hitler killed, 60 million people? They think maybe even 80 million?
There's 6 or 7.
Well, but
it was Stalin that killed about 50.
Yeah, Stalin.
But they were his own people, so it didn't count.
Yeah, no one cares about them.
That's right. Nobody cares about them. I forgot. But all of these people get killed, and you think it's a good idea to re-reference. And again, it does come to about 80 million people, then, right? Or at least 70.
World War II, yeah.
To bring that back after almost 100 years and talk about the worst time in the world. Why do you want to do that? Just because you want to win a race? Because you want to make a lot of money? I mean, what is that?
I don't know how much of it was actually even President Biden planning or thinking about this. Right. I think he just kind of showed us who he was or what he actually believed, honestly. And I think there's a lot of people, sadly, in that group who kind of view the other side as deplorable, as garbage, all these things. And that's just not helpful because, honestly, in a few weeks, I'm thinking about, one of my Thanksgiving plans. I'm going to be around a Thanksgiving table about the size of the table we're at right now with people who are definitely Democrats in my family, definitely Republicans, definitely in the middle. I mean, all over the board. And so I don't know why we can't kind of take that same kind of thing of, hey, I love you. You're my family. Same thing. We're all Americans. I love you as an American. Let's come together, find solutions, no matter what party you're part of.
And I don't know why politics, why is it such an identifier for people? I have a relative that I haven't talked to in over 20 years because they believe in something different than I do politically. It's like, what? Really? You think that you or I have that big an influence? This is not somebody who ran for office or anything like that. But to think you take that drastic a move, you don't really have that much influence. Calm down, right?
I mean, that's the way I want it as a guy who wants more, smaller government, right? I think
smaller government,
less power with the federal government, more to the state government, even down to, hey, look, I think a lot of good is happening at the local level. We need to empower people as far down as we can. Right. So yeah, that's just what I firmly believe in.
If you could speak for the entirety of Congress and answer a question that it's important to me, do you think either party is ever going to get to the point where we start talking about fiscal responsibility again? Because I mean, that used to be what you guys were great at. And now it's like, wait a minute, we can just bake up shit too, and let's not tax anybody. This is going to be awesome.
I won't put it that way exactly. No,
I know you wouldn't, but I can. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's a problem with both parties. I mean, both parties want to kick things down the road. They don't want to get things done. And so I think we need to make sure that we're talking about it. The fact that we're $35 trillion in debt.
I know it's crazy.
Changing,
and I'll be fine. But I've got 4 kids that are in college and just out, and I think about how expensive the world has become. Really? Yeah. Well, we bribed them.
Yeah.
We used that one actress that got in all that trouble. And
sure.
Very helpful.
Absolutely. Anyway, you were good on the crew team, right? You were pretty good at crew or badminton or something.
Yeah. I was on the crew team at UMD. Anyway,
no, we can't just keep kicking it down the road. We need to.
But it doesn't seem like anybody's really talking about it at the federal level.
Well, the thing is, that's every country
we're kind of forced to, because we have to have a balanced budget, right? So they've got to at least have some fiscal restraint, kind of. But at the national level, it's like, whew.
Yeah, and there isn't a balance. I mean, we don't have to balance our budget. Yeah. We should have to. I mean, that's why I'm supportive of a balanced budget amendment to make sure that we actually do keep our fiscal house in order. Just like you have to keep your house in order when you're running your own house, right? It just kind of makes sense. It's too much common sense to me.
Okay, so we're screwed.
That's kind of
I mean, that's one way we can look at it. And sometimes I do feel that way, but I think what I do think about Americans, we always kind of have this way of ingenuity and kind of not fully redefining ourselves, but hey, we have these big challenges and then we face them. Hitler's been mentioned, right? World War II.
Yeah.
We existential threat to America. If we wouldn't have stopped Hitler, then who knows? Well, he would have tried to invade America at some point.
No question.
Existential threat. And so we have maybe not the same scope of threat, but big threats now in our country. And I think, as those become more impending, then we'll be able to face them.
It's funny you mention that, because that touches on the other thing that I'm worried about that nobody is talking about. And it's really the military. I mean, we have a huge military budget, but I'm really hoping there are people that are smarter than me that are thinking about what warfare in the future is going to look like, and not, you brought up, historical stuff, not building the Maginot Line like the French did after World War I.
Warfare in the future is going to be rock'em sock'em robots.
It's
going to be robots punching each other, and then whoever's robot wins gets to invade the other people.
I mean, that sounds funny, but I mean, that actually
far off.
It's an exaggeration for comedic effect, but I mean, it's true.
Well, Donald Rumsfeld, famously had this quote, known unknowns, unknown unknowns. I mean, we don't know how AI is going to affect all this. I mean, we don't know. I mean, obviously Elon Musk is just doing a lot of amazing things. Like, what is warfare going to look like in 20 years? Yeah. And I remember even when Trump started, Space Force, initially, I think a lot of people were like, oh, it kind of sounds funny. But
there's a great TV series starring Steve Carell called Space Force. You got to watch it. It's really, really funny.
Yep.
It's he and who's the sidekick?
Just don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we do need to make sure that we're prioritizing ingenuity and technology, because we just can't fall behind. We don't want to let China get ahead of us. We don't want to let Russia, of course, get ahead of us.
You have a question for you as a black man in America today.
John Malkovich.
Nice.
There you go.
Good work.
John Malkovich, a black man in America today. I
thought he's in the Space Force with Steve Carell. Because of where I grew up and all the rest of this stuff, I get really sick to death of these exurban people that are experts on what goes on in the inner city. These people don't get along. Oh my God, it's so hard to do this. And so you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Like, I would never say, hey, this is what it's like to grow up in St. Cloud, because I don't know what it's like to grow up in St. Cloud. I never did that and all the rest of it. Why all these people, and they tend to be pretty wealthy people, think they know all about what happens in North Minneapolis. You have no clue what it's like.
We got along really, really, really well. Now nobody gets along. And I think most of that is because of the politicians lying to the people.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated about it. I mean, as a black kid who grew up in a small town, like no one knows what that experience is like, right? And also when we see crime in our streets, I mean, it is very appalling that when you see some, you know, people just trying to call out the crime that's happening in parts of our city, you know, North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis. I worked on a Bloods criminal street gang RICO investigation in South Minneapolis for sure. Yeah, and it was extremely interesting to say the least. But it just really grinds my gears when I see people, you know, maybe upper crust, whatever, who have no clue about this experience. Absolutely. And they're posting pictures like, oh, all these people who are calling out crime say that it's so terrible, but look at this nice sunny picture of me running around Lake Minneapolis, right? People are literally getting shot people are getting shot all the time. There's robberies all the time. And so we need to look at that and why that's happening. And of course, during the riots after 2020, we're kind of going all into this now, but I mean, a lot of the businesses that were burned down were black and brown owned businesses. Absolutely. And so I think black and brown people like myself, we want better policing, right? There was all this thing of, oh, defund the police. That is nonsense. I mean, people don't want less police. We just want better policing. And that's what police officers are doing every day.
Does anybody say that anymore? I know that after the riots, and I'll call them riots because they were, that was kind of the knee jerk for the far left for about 6 weeks, maybe to 2 months. But I think even the Minneapolis city council went, oh, wait a minute, this is really kind of a shitty idea. I don't think anybody thinks that.
Hindsight was 2020 there, I think.
I think that, sadly, there were a lot of people in power, and I'm going to call it one now, Mary Moriarty right now. I mean, if she had her druther, she would want to get rid of police. That's what she wants to do.
It's funny you mention her because Ryan Winkler, we've had him on here several times, and he's become a friend. And when he was running against her, I said, Ryan, how's it going? It's one of the few politicians I ever donated to, and he goes, I'm not going to make it. I'm not far enough left. She's going to win. Like, oh, shit. And then you watch what she's doing, and it's like,
why?
She's absolutely horrible, and I don't think she realizes.
Just telling it like it is.
No, you got to call a spade.
Hey, we got to name calling. It took I'm sorry. We beat it out.
I wasn't supposed to do that.
Her policies are horrible.
I think I'm pretty safe to say that. Well, let me rephrase it. She's horrible at her job. She's horrible at her job. No, because she charges this guy, Trooper Londergren, a state trooper who had this, really tragic situation of having to discharge his firearm to save a fellow trooper's life.
Correct.
This felon who was trying to flee. He did the right thing. He was a hero, but he was no good deed goes unpunished. He was charged, and his life, in many ways, for the future, but even when he was charged, was ruined because of this terrible prosecutorial decision by Mary Moriarty. But that doesn't just affect Trooper Londergren. Of course, it does mostly, but it affects all cops because all cops now are, okay, oh, wait, if I go into Hennepin County, if I help, Minneapolis with this investigation or this arrest warrant, am I going to get charged by Mary Moriarty if crap hits the fan?
Yeah.
And so law enforcement everywhere is worried about it. That's why you're seeing massive retention and recruitment problems across the state of Minnesota. I mean, law enforcement numbers are down because who would want to go into a profession where you might, if something goes wrong?
That's a national problem, though, isn't it? I think
it is definitely worse in Minnesota. And I don't have the numbers for, but it's definitely worse in Minnesota because of people like Mary Moriarty.
Now, the two white women in the studio are just sitting here not talking. Does this mean you disagree with everything we say?
It's just not a whole lot of time to.
That's true.
Well, no, jump it. I want to hear.
I'm like I'm.
You're not very political.
Not a political person.
There's no.
I don't have much time.
I got to bring this up very quickly then, since I kind of changed the subject there. I sit down at this desk this morning, and I knew about one of these things last night, but I sit down and I turn on the screen and I'm reading through the news, and I see that some guy on a golf course in Minnesota was attacked and hit in the head with a driver. And the amazing thing about that is there were two people attacked a couple of days ago on golf courses. You know about the other one, Andy and Alex, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't? So this guy got hit in the head with a driver. The driver head tore off. He hit him so hard that the driver head came off the club.
Probably had his elbow.
And the other guy was attacked because one guy thought the other guy stole his golf ball. So about $3. Took out several golf clubs and beat the guy so badly he broke his leg and one of his arms. Your uncle.
But who? What?
Daryl.
He was the one that did what?
He was attacked on a golf course. He's in the hospital right now.
No one told us this.
You didn't even know about this?
No.
See, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. We need to get rid of. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Because somebody thought he stole their golf ball?
Yeah.
Golf ball, not club.
Yeah.
Ball.
Golf
50-cent golf ball.
Probably $3.
Well, yeah, I suppose inflation.
Joe, what's your position on golf violence?
I am anti-golf violence. Although some would call my golf game, someone called my golf game golf violence, or violence to golf.
No, they just call it a crime. It's a non-specific
crime. A crime against humanity. A crime against the game of golf. My game off the tee is a violence against golf.
Growing up right there in North Minneapolis, I don't remember people being that violent on the golf course when I was a kid, and it's right in the middle of the neighborhood.
I used to play at Worth all the time. That was my favorite course for years.
Theater Worth Golf Course, phenomenal. Got a great clubhouse, all the rest of it. I don't ever remember. Maybe it's happened, but I don't remember it. But isn't that amazing? Now, Daryl's about 6'4", probably.
Yeah.
He's tall. About 220, something like that. He's a big guy. He's a tough guy. But apparently the guy snuck up behind him or something and hit him in the head with a golf ball.
Well, I mean, he's also like older and not in good health. So it's like,
he's like 74, right?
Something like that.
Maybe even.
Probably, yeah.
You hit a guy in the head with a golf club, 75 years old, and you're hitting him in the arm, broke his leg. I mean, you got to hit somebody pretty hard with a golf club to break his leg.
Well, he has
all sorts of things.
Underlying health conditions.
Well, he does,
that might
there's
make
no
it
question. But
easier to break bones.
But I mean, whoever heard of that when I grew up there? I never heard of anything like that happening. What happened to humanity? Why are we so mean? Right now, we're the meanest we have ever been.
That's why you have to do like they do in Florida and carry a rifle in your golf bag.
Yeah, there you go.
Those situations.
I thought that was for alligators.
I think it's mostly for alligators.
It is for alligators. Yeah. But
that might limit how many McGoldens they could have on the course.
Honestly,
we need to think
in Florida, they don't care.
No.
Well, that's very negative.
It's always a man from Florida.
Yeah,
that's
the best news stories.
I will tell you honestly,
ridiculous.
True story. First round I ever played in Florida. Well, yeah, because I didn't play golf when I lived in Jacksonville. So we went down 27 years ago. Breakers Golf Course, Breakers West. There's this beautiful row of bushes and all the rest of it. I'm like, this is wonderful. I grab my driver, walk up on the tee box, and there's a full-grown alligator about 5 feet away from me, just under the bushes. I'm like, jeez.
The indicator.
This is a little terrifying, but he looked at me like, what do you want? That was about all it was.
Do you know that from basically Palm Beach, South Florida is the only area of the world where there are both crocodiles and alligators?
Yep, and alligators.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very true.
Lucky.
And you can find a python or two out there in the Everglades. I will tell you that.
Yeah, the Everglades are like a whole other world.
Well, people kept getting these boa constrictors as pets, and then when they got too big, they just throw them in the Everglades. It's like, don't do that. What are you doing?
But I think people in Minnesota are fleeing to Florida right now because of the climate, the business climate, the tax climate, the political climate. I mean, it's just
very true.
Crazy.
But it does bother me, this whole idea. And I don't like the fact that they used, sex against one another, women against men, men against women, skin color, faith, whatever you got, we're going to use it against you. Why? We had different lives. Are they ever going to realize that we grew up differently? We didn't all grow up the same. We didn't all have the same life. Stop, categorizing people the way you want to because you feel better about yourself if you do, I guess. I don't know why. That's
my theory, too. We call ourselves the United States of America, but if we're real about it, we're like 50 countries that pretend to get along at Thanksgiving.
That's exactly right, too.
Totally.
Unfortunately.
That's a good point. And hey, look, we're just trying to make a more perfect union. And I think we all kind of want basic stuff. We want to thrive. We want we want to pass on a legacy. We want, people to live the lives they want to live and love who they want to love. And sadly, just going back to even the issue of crime in the city, South Minneapolis. I mean, Uptown used to be this really thriving kind of area in Minneapolis.
Wonderful.
And then obviously you had a lot of the COVID shutdown, but then you had crime go up. And so we had this part of our Bloods criminal streaking RICO prosecution investigation that I helped lead along with working with the FBI. There was a murder outside of Williams Pub, right there on the lagoon. And just like this gang fight that happened in the bar, all these gang members go out to their cars, grab their guns, like the Wild Wild West. They kind of meet up on the street. They all pull their guns out, and one guy lost a gunfight, and that was it. And things like that happen more and more to the point where people just didn't want to go down to, the Apple Store in Uptown, or go down to, Chino Latino, or whatever the different restaurants are there.
I used to love going to the Uptown Theater they would do these wonderful, what was the name of that movie they played every?
Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. An example, how much fun that was, because all the great restaurants you're talking about, the bars down there, all the rest of it in the Uptown used to play. So I asked a friend of mine, a young black man in America today, you want to go down and see this movie down? He said he played it at was it midnight?
Yeah, it's at midnight on Friday and Saturday or Saturday or something. So
he goes, yeah, we can go down there. That sounds pretty good. So we're sitting there, and the movie starts, and people start pulling out their umbrellas and all this different stuff. And he's looking at me like, what the hell, man? So all of a sudden, he stands up, and he's a very large guy, and he goes, I just want to tell everybody here, do not squirt me with your squirt gun. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you flat out, do not squirt your squirt gun at me. And I'm like, good.
Yeah.
It worked out really well because we didn't get wet because of him. I think he was very serious. He was like, don't do that to me. I'm just telling you. But no, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the most fun areas of this city was there in Uptown. And now from what I understand, it's not that safe to go there anymore. Is that correct?
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's like, we can't have nice things. We can't have fun things if you just don't have some semblance of common sense. And that's why, if sadly, police can't go into an area, if there's no consequences for actions, then crime goes up. And that's what happened in Uptown.
So what do you, the two of you, because you're not talking still. You're down there hiding, pretending not to be.
You're picking on my campaign manager in a way that I just find unacceptable.
Okay, I'll stop doing it. Oh, it's your campaign manager?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, now I got to be nice to you from now on. This is terrible.
You're on camera in front of tens of people right now.
Tens of people. Oh, you put her on camera. Oh, she didn't want to be on camera. You did it anyway. But so what I like is we have, a couple of generations of people in the studio today. And so what do you guys think of this? The younger people, do you notice how much meaner people have gotten in the last few years? Because you're both in your 30s. Andy, birthday just a couple of days ago.
Almost in my 40s.
Almost. So what's your take on this? How the world? Because I'll be 73 years old in a week, and this world has changed a lot since I was a little kid. And I mean, not all of it has been in a nice way either. Why is AI partially responsible for this? I'm like, you hop on. I asked people on Facebook last week, please stop calling each other Nazis and Hitler and all that stuff. It's so much more hideous than apparently you've taken time to read up on. They blocked me on Facebook because I criticized people for calling people Hitler.
Well, what happened was the bot saw you use the word Hitler and just, defaulted to your, delete your post.
Does it do it on all the Hitler posts?
Yeah, they use AI to try to keep Facebook to not be a complete cesspool.
Doesn't work great.
Oh, it doesn't work?
Well, that's the problem. It's like if you post, I don't like Hitler, you're going to get blocked because you used the word Hitler and probably don't like, which is a negative language.
Every time I think of that name, because I used to go out, we weren't really dating or anything. We used to go out to dinner once in a while, but this nice, very pretty Jewish girl, and her last name was Gittler.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like to be a Jewish kid named Gittler?
That's a fairly common name, though.
It absolutely is. It is absolutely. It's like, damn, that's got put a little pressure on you, no question. You get back. What?
I got nothing. No, I don't know what to add to that.
Have you ever been to the Sudan?
I have. Yeah.
Oh, so you did go back home.
And I was family's. I was actually born in St. Louis Park. Hospital. Right. But I've been back a couple times, and it's very, very humbling to go back to it. But go back to your point, your question, if I can. I mean, just the young. I think there's kind of two issues or two ways to look at it. One, we're probably just seeing more of the fighting and things because we have social media. Everyone's got like a camera in their pocket and they can record everything. But the second part of it probably is also that, like, I think that a different generation, I don't know, when you're at school with downtime or at a bus stop, whatever, you're kind of forced because you don't have like a mega computer in your pocket all the time. You're forced to kind of on the bus. Hey, you're talking with people, you're meeting with people, you're interacting. That's a muscle you're exercising. Now it's just not happening. And there's just way more anonymity in your social communication, your connection. So now, you know, people in our generation, for sure younger than me as well, are just growing up in this environment where they're just, you know, anonymously or otherwise just connecting with people only online. I think that increases polarization. And for sure, a lot of the data science says that. Yeah. I think, you know, a lot of the social media stuff is just not good for people regarding mental health. So you're seeing rising depression, rising anxiety for young people.
That's sad. I mean, it really is unfortunate. Do you take any heat about the fact that it looks like a lot of Black men in America today might be going the other way, voting the way other people would want them to vote? Is there a lot of pressure on Black men right now because of that?
I don't know if there's like pressure. I mean, I'm happy that I think Black men, like me and other people, are just thinking outside the box and saying, hey, look, this political party maybe has been taken for granted, the Black vote, Black men vote, Black women vote, whatever it might be. I think people should just think outside the box, outside of what their skin color or what their gender might be, and say, look, who has better ideas and sort of who's broken it and who can fix it. And I think I tend to believe that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Angie Craig have broke it. Let's someone else fix it.
He threw that in the end. That was good.
I had to throw that in the end. Come on.
That was very smooth.
I mean, when you're a rubber stamp for a failed agenda, you know, you gotta talk about it a little bit.
I love that. I do get bothered by the fact, and I suppose it's because of where I grew up, I am sick to death of people using skin color for everything. Oh, that's a problem because of skin color. It's because they're white. It's because they're Black. Because they're red. No, it's not. They're different. People are. It's like all white guys are the same. All Black guys are the same. All white women are the same. No, they're not. I mean, are we ever going to get over that? We're not all the same. Relax.
We haven't gotten over it in 250 years. I don't know where we're going to start now.
That's very true.
Well, I'm gonna know about it too. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of this story, but there's a recent Strib article, a lot of hubflub about this really sad situation of a man who was shot by his neighbor in Minneapolis, right? And I think the Minneapolis Police Department is getting some flack. I don't think it's deservedly so, but they're getting a lot of flack for it. And people are saying, oh, you know, well, the guy who was the shooter was white and the victim was Black, and so that's the narrative right now. And they're saying that the Minneapolis Police Department didn't act appropriately, maybe because of race. And I think maybe we need to look into, hey, first, that's not right, I'm sure, but also, like, what were the police officers involved? Were they Black themselves potentially? Yeah. Right. I think they were. And so it's just like, that shouldn't be relevant. But if the allegations are racism, then those things become relevant, and people don't want to know those facts.
Oh, and why don't they want to know those facts? Wouldn't knowing facts be nice?
Because it would be nice. I mean, it doesn't fit the narrative. I think there is an agenda. I mean, I'm not overly conspiratorial. I mean, there is an agenda about this to say, look, we need to look at everything through the lens or the prism of oppressor, oppressed. And that's on every level, right? And so it's not saying that there is, levels of course, like discrimination in our society, but to what extent is it affecting everything? And I think there's a side that wants to say everything is affected by this. To the point where, like, I think it's damaging to people, because if you're growing up with a mentality of victimhood, even if you are in a tougher situation socioeconomically, I don't think it's helpful to grow up with that victim mentality. I think it's a bad thing. It ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That is a perfect description of what's going on, and it's why I don't like it. And it's really, again, these exurban white people that think they're this is how it goes in the inner city. You have no idea what the hell's going on in your city. Stop throwing your garbage at us, because you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Like, I don't talk to people about how they grew up. It's a whole different situation. You would think that we've not made any gains whatsoever in America if you heard some of these people talk. We've made no progress at all. It's like, come on, man. Really? The fact that you wanted to come on this show, I think, is terrific. Because if you look at the press, there are people who think I'm horribly this and horribly that. And as a Black man in America today, if you had, was going to say no balls, but I won't say that.
We did that in the earlier hour. Talk about your balls for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear what they did to me, these people?
I didn't hear this, no.
Okay, well, a couple of days ago, I'm sitting here with a Diet Pepsi. It was my last Diet Pepsi I was ever going to drink because there's too much caffeine in it and all the rest of it.
No, it's not because of the caffeine.
No.
Oh my!
What
You
is
just
it
do
of?
not understand anything that anyone said about soda. You just.
I'm addicted to Coke Zero, so maybe we can bond over this.
Coke Zero, and this was Diet Pepsi, wild cherry Diet Pepsi.
Oof.
But I went to put it in my mouth, and it tipped and spilled about half the bottle, about 8 ounces in my lap. And then it expanded and expanded and expanded. And I finally went, oh my God. So I said, you got to see this. I stood up because it looked like I peed my pants.
It looked like 5 people peed your pants.
This hammerhead posted nationally and says I did pee my pants.
No, maybe don't pee your pants.
We're up to 10 cents. We monetized that clip.
Right. I just want people to step up and go, you know what? This is like, I could not go to 2 billionaires and say, wow, this is how you guys act. It's like, I don't know. I know some billionaires, but I don't know a ton of them. And I could never judge how they act because I'm not a billionaire. I don't know. Why people think, oh, we're going to put this in that category and you're going to be in this category. It's like, no, we're all different. Calm down.
You know what I hate about billionaires?
What?
They all say the same thing. It's a slightly different version of this. You know, money isn't everything.
They all blow it. They do blow it. That is very true. They all do say, yes, it's not everything.
Yes.
Well, it's because you've got all of it.
I'm so highly evolved, I don't actually require it. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's my lucky
is that
day.
what it is? No, I just love the fact that because you reached out to us, correct?
I don't even know how we got here, but I'm glad I'm here.
Was it your fault?
It was through Catherine or Mom or Catherine.
Oh, it's for Mom?
Oh,
whichever
my
you want to
wife
call
reached
her.
out to you? Is that how it happened? See, she never tells me she does this stuff, which I like.
I don't know.
There's sausage that gets made. I end up showing up. Here we are.
It all works out. But I'm very happy about this because there are people that want to just live their lives. I am not this and I'm not that and I'm on all the rest of it. It just I don't know about, certain, like I could never judge somebody who grew up on a farm because I don't know what it's like to grow up on a farm.
Your children.
Well, not really a farm. It was a horse farm.
Wait.
It was a farm.
Did you have, what crops did you have?
There was corn.
There was corn.
a giant cornfield behind our house.
There sure was.
And
over by the river.
Was harvesting all the corn?
The guy that
Yeah,
who bought our house. But
corn
the surf
guy.
the guy that you guys bought at the surf auction.
But we had a barn, and I cleaned stalls and moved manure
Moving
and
hay bales
so,
around.
Yeah,
and
it's not like
riding the tractor.
it's not like I had 2 chickens in the suburbs. It was,
I got to tell you something.
I grew up on the mean streets of Lexington, Massachusetts. It's
there you
kind
go.
of the same thing. Anyway,
Catherine and I just talked about this yesterday, that I think, and I don't know this is true, that Andy and Alex are both pissed off at us still because we sold that farm. Are you still mad about that?
well, I don't know. No.
You're not?
I mean, growing up there was great, but
Yeah.
you got to stop growing up at some point.
Well, I know, but to go back there, you guys still go back there because,
Every so often,
Next.
yeah.
I have not
Yeah.
About
been
once
there.
a year. You haven't?
Mm.
Wow.
Oh, you've never been, because L.A. Nick, our friend of ours, ended up buying the house. So you could go back there and look around.
I know I could, but I'm never out that way.
Yeah, it's good. It's a bit of a drive. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
well,
You
he
should
turned it
have
into a
seen-
motorcycle farm, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a
that's
lot of motorcycles.
not
He does have
surprising.
horses, though.
Does he?
Yeah,
Tons of them, yeah.
He does
goats,
have a lot of
right?
horses.
He's
Goat,
got sheep. He's got, I think, 1 goat. He's got horses.
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
But it's not a farm.
It's a
According to Doug,
it's a hobby ranch.
not a farm.
He's attacking Doug. She's attacking you, man.
How do you
I'm
feel,
okay.
Doug?
I'm fine. I sold cars for 40 years. I'm
Yeah.
pretty bulletproof.
There's nothing that
That's
upsets
very
you.
true. So, look, we got a couple of different generations on the show today. Do you guys, the younger people, think? Are we moving in the right direction? Can we ever move in the right direction, or is there just so much anger between the groups of people that we just can't ever get this done? What do you guys think?
I think we can get it done. I mean, obviously, I'm running for Congress partly because I think we're veering towards the wrong direction. But yeah, no, I think we can get it done. I mean, we have the right kind of social capital, human capital. We're Americans. We have great institutions. Our Constitution's amazing. But, I think we just have leadership right now that is just off track. And that kind of begins at the top in our country. With Tim Walz, we haven't really talked about him at all. I'm not sure what the general vibe is towards that.
Not exactly a fan of his, I've got to be honest with you.
Well, I tend to agree with you, Tom.
I just don't understand that. This is what I don't understand. When you guys walked in, I should have gone, What is that? All he does is wave his arms around. Why does he do that so much?
Trying to scare off bears.
I do that.
A lot of bears.
I wave my arms
oh, Dad, how you
all the
doing?
time.
Oh, Dad's here.
I think that if we had less divisive candidates at the top of both tickets,
no question.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because really, everybody focuses on the presidents, but you guys are the ones that are supposed to do all the actual work, right? You're supposed to write legislature, and it's just like
the president just vetoes your work
because these guys are throwing grenades at each other. We've got to sit in the bleachers and wait till the game's over. I think that's one of the big problems.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of frustrated by, your eyes are definitely open running for Congress, because I think people told me, hey, this will be one of the toughest things you've ever done, Joe, before I decided to run. And I've done, some tough things, going to law school, Marine Corps, active duty, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, in many ways, it kind of has been, just because, you just don't know what's going to be like until you do it. And when you have all these attacks at you that are totally false, one recently, Angie Craig kind of attacked my record as a federal prosecutor, and KSTP did a truth test saying that it was false, or sorry, it is an F for truthfulness. So just totally bonkers.
Right.
Totally false. And we called up the BS for what it was. And so you just kind of have to deal with that.
Is she an attorney by trade as well?
No,
she's not. Okay.
No.
I didn't know that.
No. She is dishonest though. Okay. So, I don't know. I mean, to the extent that you believe that there's,
So should we call her Crooked Angie, or
I like that. Crooked Angie.
See, we got him to start calling people names. It only took 45 minutes.
45 minutes and we got to go.
I'm sorry, no names.
No.
What she does, not Crooked Angie, but what she does is crooked.
There you go.
Yeah.
I do have to read this because we only got about 5 minutes left, and this is unbelievable. At a young age, Joe learned the American dream is not just a slogan, but a promise. As the son of an immigrant from Sudan who moved to America to pursue a brighter future, and the grandson of a World War II POW. How long was he a POW?
Oh, I don't exactly know, but we have like the Western Union telegram sent to his family at the small town in northern Iowa, farm town he grew up in. Pretty incredible. Really? It's wild. It's wild to see this stuff written out. And
So he didn't fight for the Brits. I thought the Sudanese most of them.
No, so this is where it gets confused. My dad is from Sudan. My mom is from America. She's Norwegian.
Okay.
So it's all on my mom's side. Okay. Yeah. For the American Army,
For the American Army.
It's not that it's better or worse.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When you said your background is Sudan and I'm like, God, he must have fought for the Brits. Because I think that a lot of the British Army, there were a lot of Sudanese that fought in World War II.
I think it's wonderful. I think the whole idea. And by the way, since you didn't give us, I'm just going to call you Elizabeth. Not to say you look like an Elizabeth.
We can call her Elizabeth. Yeah,
it's a good name.
I like the name Elizabeth, actually. Yeah.
Oh, she's talking now. I gave her a fake name, so now she talks. Or maybe Elizabeth is her name. Maybe I just nailed it.
We got to come up with we got to slam her though. If we're gonna have Dirty Angie, we got to have Crooked Liz or
Crooked Liz. Yeah, there you go.
Bad Betty.
So it was your idea to have him come in?
It was Catherine's idea.
So Catherine reached out to you.
Yes, Catherine reached out to me, and very happy to have the invite.
Yeah. And
she would normally have been here, but she just had a procedure yesterday, so she couldn't come in and do the show today. But she's doing very well.
Great to hear that.
She's an amazing woman. She's far too good for me. I know that. We've been together for 44 years, been married for 40 years, got 2 great kids, got 4 great grandkids. I mean, that's the whole thing, I guess. I came from nothing and nowhere, loved my family. I tell the story. I'm 15 years old, Cleveland Park in North Minneapolis. Guy runs over and tells me, "Hey, your mom's on the radio." I said, "What?" Because, yeah, they're trying to reach your brother, because my brother, Terry, was in Vietnam. He's in the United States Marine Corps. So they're it's coming up on Mother's Day. So they tried to get my brother to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day from Vietnam and but they never did find him because he was out in the jungle or something. I don't know what the hell was going on.
But I'm listening to this whole thing. Sam Sherwood was the guy doing the interview. I'll never forget that. I was 15 years old. And I listened to that and I went, they're trying to talk to my brother at the other side of the world. That's what I want to do for a living. It inspired me to get into this business. No, I've talked to plenty of people around the world, but I still haven't found my brother. No, that's not true. I know where he is. But
that's funny. You had that experience, and I grew up playing video games with Brazilians and Filipinos.
You did?
Like it was nothing.
Those Filipinos are tough too.
Well, the two Brazilians, you got Patty McCormick out at McCormick's wonderful restaurant out in Lyzetta. And one of her servers also Brazilian. So you get a lot of Brazilians to talk to. But I think that's the whole situation is for a kid like me, who's father had a lot of mental illness. 3 of my uncles were murdered. It was a tough life and all the rest of it. The only shocking part of it to me was when a small element of this state got a chance to turn on me. They did in a huge, would call me a racist and a homophobe and call me all these things that they knew weren't true. Destroyed my voiceover career.
God,
why?
Norwegians.
Typical Norwegian. But why some people want to destroy other people like they're showing right now. They don't want to just beat you. They want to destroy you when they beat you. Why?
I think that's why a lot of people like Elon Musk and sort of people who represent a kind of a new wave of thinking are very much, they've flipped from, Democrats to Republicans. But look, I mean, cancel culture, this is just bogus. It's ridiculous. I mean, aren't we a country of freedom of thought, expression, religion, all these things? I mean, especially on college campuses, but definitely over the airwaves. Like you should be able to have a little bit of leeway to talk about things, to make jokes. I mean, the whole idea of comedy is to, kind of get close to that line.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you go over the line. I'm not a comedian myself, but I just hearing all these comedians talk about this, it's just very, very frustrating that we just can't have open dialogue.
I blame it almost entirely on Al Franken. He never should have quit. No, I'm actually serious. I know it sounds flip, but what he did years before he was even in Senate, it was a joke. He didn't touch her and he stepped aside because everybody, the entire Democratic Party said off with his head. And that empowered people to say, holy shit, we're miserable and we hate everybody. Let's see who else we can blow up. And a lot of them did deserve it. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that Harvey Weinstein should be in prison.
No, I would agree with that.
It gave power to the bad side of the counterculture.
Witch hunts are never a good thing.
Never a good thing. All right, we only got about a minute left. So where do people find out more about you? How do they vote for you? Where is your district? All these things. We need to know all these things. Well, Elizabeth didn't tell me anything.
So Joe Teirab running for Congress in the 2nd congressional district. So that's most areas of the South Metro, Hastings, Mendota Heights, Burnsville, where I live, Lakeville, Apple Valley, Shakopee, all of LeSueur. You can find out more about me by going to my website. It's joeformn2.com. So joeformn2.com. You can just search my name as well, Joe Teirab, find information about me. And I'd be honored for anyone who's listening if I'd be able to earn their vote if we want to change. I don't think we can go with the status quo anymore. We need to change.
But you can only vote once, right? It's a new
rule. You can only vote once. But if you're going to vote for me, election day is on November 6th. Oh, sorry, not for me.
Not for you.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much again. So Elizabeth, should I still stay with Elizabeth?
You can stick with Elizabeth.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, thank you for this, and thank you to Catherine for teeing this up. And I know she wanted to be here, so you're going to have to come back again after you win, because she'll have to sit across. She usually sits right there. Or no, she actually sits where you're sitting. But yeah, Catherine's very good about that kind of stuff. She knows exactly what she likes about this state, what she doesn't like about it. She's a very strong woman, which is why I adore her. Would you say your mother's one of the strongest women you know? Oh,
not as strong as Angie Craig.
Think about it.
You got to think about it.
Angie Craig.
I don't know. I've never seen her bench anything.
Yeah,
that's true. She's not a bencher. She
gets migraines when she lifts weights.
Well, she can totally manipulate a pretty big guy in me. So, but I do. I just absolutely adore that woman, and I want a better world for her and our children and our grandchildren and all our friends. Stop being so mean to one another. My God, people are mean. Like I said, 2 people 2 days ago attacked on a golf course with golf clubs. I mean, what? You could kill someone with a golf club.
Yeah, you sure could. I mean, when I was a kid, the big story was this peewee hockey game Kids were playing hockey. These two dads got into an argument, and one of the dads beat the other to death.
Over a
Pee-wee hockey. And I remember hearing, I was like 10 years old, and I remember that story like really affecting me because like the idea of just like beating someone to death over something like that never even occurred to me.
No,
so I was like, wow, that's the world's a much darker place all of a sudden.
I have coached children's sports.
Oh God.
Wow. Some parents really put a lot of
the vicarious parents
on their child's performance for like tiny child soccer or something. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I'm just trying to picture my dad supporting anything I ever did. Forget about it.
Not so much.
You guys got to come back. It was great having you in. And thank you so much, honest to God, to Catherine and you, because you didn't just blow Catherine's calls off. You paid attention. So thank you. I just like the nice positive. I mean, you didn't call anybody any names while you were here or anything.
Doug did, but.
Yeah, Doug. Yeah, Doug did. No, but I mean, Doug, you're a pretty liberal person. You're a Democrat.
I'm left of center, but I voted for plenty of Republicans in my life.
Right. Why can't we all do that? Because I vote Democrat.
We've turned it into a football game. That's why.
Yeah, it's really too bad because we could have so much better lives if we, just tried a little bit to live together like we used to.
This is all his fault, right?
What's my fault?
What's his fault? This is
so 25 years ago when some pro wrestler says, "I want to be governor," Tom got on the radio and went, "Jesse for governor," and we all went, "Oh right." My God. And then 4 years later, California said, "Hold my beer." We have a wrestler too, and he's Austrian. And then Minnesota goes, "Watch this. We got a comedian and a crazy woman named Michelle Bachmann." And then it's all his fault.
And then the United States said, "Hold my beer."
That's right.
We're going with this guy on The Apprentice. You're fired. No, we actually hired him. Yeah,
actually hired him. That's still looking like shoulder to shoulder. Well, all these things are shoulder to shoulder right now, aren't these elections?
How long do you think it'll take you give it 4 or 5 days?
I know, for real.
Way too
like
long.
A month.
I miss the days. I feel like I remember, hey, the election gets decided that night. Yeah. I don't know why we can't do that.
You go to bed knowing.
Yeah. Other than 2000, it normally seemed to be pretty quick.
I don't know. I end up forgetting about it after a day. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Other countries are getting this right. I don't know why we can't. Yeah. We put a man on the moon, 6 years ago? We can't figure out an election within.
Fake news. They've never been on the moon.
Never have.
Unless you can see the world's fishing flat. Wire.
Now that you brought that up, I got to hold you for one more minute. You got enough wars going on in the world now? My God, everybody hates everybody, and they're bombing everybody, and
that's new.
No.
Well, but I'm talking about the flat out wars that are going on now. We were pretty calm for a second there, which not calm, but
I don't know. Name a year, and I'll tell you which wars were going on during that year.
Okay, truly. 1951.
1951.
Korean War.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Because I was born during the Korean War.
Well, right now there are 5 international conflicts.
5 international conflicts, and it's all because of. I mean, does AI have a lot to do with this? Because there's so many lies going on, and not AI, but social wars. Media. I mean,
they will someday.
Instagram.
They will someday. They will. But I mean, the negativity of social media, is that a big part of it? The fact they found out, I can go on and run my mouth and be a tough guy all I want, and no one can come near me. I mean, when you opened your mouth when I was a kid, you better be able to back it up.
That's true.
You were going to get your ass handed to you. Which I kind of miss that.
Well, I think
I really do.
Social media, it's like people that have very strong political beliefs post a lot on social media about
yes,
it.
They do.
But I know people in my life that do that, and I just mute them during election season because I'm like, you can post all you want about what you think, and I don't want to hear about it though.
I do the same thing.
Yes.
Honestly, during the campaign, there's just a lot of people that chirp at you. And I think we call them keyboard warriors because they have this sense of I'm this big, important person, but really, who are they?
Yeah.
I think we should start the pee your pants party.
The pee your pants
party. Would you
party.
leave me alone? It was Diet Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh, you may as well show them the picture.
No, that's fine.
No, Andy, would you pop it up on the screen so they can all see the picture?
Do I have it?
I was going to say, I don't think you can just access
I do
Doug's
not have
picture.
Doug has it.
Well, it's on
Facebook?
On the Facebook podcast.
Unbelievable.
Page.
I spill one thing in my lap, and I'm going to be known as a guy who peed his pants for the rest of my life. It was
good thing it didn't happen when you were 20.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
Bucky Dent in 1975 hit one home run, and ever since then he's been known at lead.
I do understand that completely, but honestly, God, I'd love you guys to come back after you win this situation. And again, I just, we got to get civil again. We got to live like human beings. I am sick to death of people using things like faith and skin color and sexual orientation. I don't care what you do or who you are, as long as you're not a jackass, right?
Can we make that our campaign slogan?
Yeah.
As long as you're not a jackass, I don't care who you are. And they still do use that, and it still pisses me off because it's just not true. Yeah. We do not hate each other over these things anymore. No, well, you're saying some people do. Like you.
I didn't say anything.
You hate people.
I know, that's just me. Mean.
Both of you come back.
Well, when you call people Nazis or Hitler, I mean, that's to me, it would feel like I'm not Jewish. I'm not, but I feel like that'd be offensive to me to make comparisons like that.
Rush Limbaugh did it
to people who clearly are not,
for 15 years crazy. Called women feminazis.
Feminazis, I remember that. No, I agree with you.
I don't think it's good, but this isn't something we invented last week.
But to call someone a Nazi whose daughter's a Jew is a little hard to handle.
It was a little weird.
Because his daughter is Jewish. I'm sorry, his grandkids are
Although
Jewish.
Hitler's grandmother was Jewish, if we want to get into history.
Oh, Jesus, a typical liberal.
What? I studied history. That's all.
Did Hitler really hate the Jews? I mean,
not speaking of
this on the Tom Barnard show.
You know who Jiminy Glick is? It was a
Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick.
Who was that? It's not Dana Carvey. It's
the guy who's with
Martin Short.
Martin Short.
So he did a show where he would dress up like a fat guy, and he was so unrecognizable. He's interviewing famous people, and at first they don't even get it. No. He interviews Mel Brooks, and he leans in and he goes, "So what's your beef with the Nazis?" Mel Brooks just loses it. He starts laughing. His tears are rolling down his face. What's your beef with the Nazis?
What's your beef with the Nazis? All right, when this thing gets done, we'll see you in about a week or two, whenever things settle down. And again, how do people? They just reach out. Your district is which district again?
The 2nd Congressional District. You can go to joeformn2.com. Thank you. Yeah.
And get out there and vote. We just need peace. We don't need any more of this. Everybody sucks and everybody's terrible. I just don't want to hear it anymore. So come back. We'll see you in about a week or two.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Appreciate it.
Well, either way, come back.
We'll do.
But I think you'll probably win.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a possibility. What do you think,
I think almost all these races are so close.
Yeah,
would you bet $100,000 on yourself or Angie? I wouldn't bet $10 on anybody at this point. Quite honestly, it's going to be close, and maybe that's a sign that's good, that things are good. I just, and it'll never happen, but only half of the country actually votes. There's a whole bunch of Americans out there.
Still, they just
don't. There's.
I don't know. It's still that bad.
Roughly 300 million eligible voters in the U.S., and there's about 150 million that'll vote. So where are all these other people? What are they doing?
I know a lot of people that have always voted, but this election they're like, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to.
Really?
I don't want to vote for either of these people.
Really?
Yeah.
That might be a problem.
I wonder what would happen if no one voted in the entire country.
Yeah, that would be
zero votes for every candidate.
Just
have you been
silent
eating
protests?
gummies?
Andy's eating gummies.
No, but I've been eating Halloween candy.
So Louise, I changed your name again.
Louise. Okay, that's a big shift. That's a big shift.
Been watching Bob's Burgers again?
Oh God, I used to love Bob's Burgers.
We had a cat named Louise.
Yeah,
we did have a cat named Louise.
Called her Wheezy though. It's just such a weird name.
Wheezy. Let's wheeze.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for coming in. Great to have you. That's going to do it for the Tom Barnard Show, ladies and gentlemen.
Every time I hear the sing, reminds me how you talking.